Nice.
That's
You just
good.
hopped on another one too, huh? Not too
Uh,
long ago.
which one did I do recently? Oh, that was with the lender.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
nice.
mortgage company. Yeah, that guy is fucking
Killing it.
beast.
Yeah.
It's Town Square Mortgage. They own their own like studio. They have their own studio set up, and so he wanted me and him did a deal. It actually didn't close. But what happened was he was like, hey, like come check out my studio. And he's like, y'all can use it anytime. It's in North Dallas, so he gave us like he's like just book it with me anytime, and we can like go do like those behind the scene videos, like just talking. Brandon can ask me a question and just record. It's pretty sick setup. But the lender, bro, probably one of the best lenders I've worked with. He's like an old OG white guy. He can close a loan in like 8 days. Like appraisal, everything. He can get the appraisal wave. Like there's no one that I've worked with him faster than him.
But why? I mean, you've been longer in the business, right?
Yeah.
Why is it that he can do 8 days and other guys can't?
Man, honestly think it's like his work ethic, right? Like, lenders, I feel like get lazy, right? And they like, they hand a lot of stuff to their assistant. This dude was in the file, like he was like working it. And I mean, my buyer was solid too, right? So we got the appraisal wave, the property was good, and like, bank didn't require the appraisal on the property, so that sped things up. But I mean, when you're efficient, that's how it goes.
You can run through transactions like nothing.
Yeah,
Huh?
exactly.
Yeah.
Cool.
And if let's say for an agent, right? Imagine if right now you're recommending his business.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when 30, 50 agents start going with him?
I think
you don't think it's gonna affect his business?
I think if you have your systems down, it doesn't matter. Like if you can have your systems down, like it doesn't matter how many you have, right? That's the point of having systems and people helping you in that place. So like if you look at these large corporations, right? They're doing so well because, first of all, they have the manpower, and like, that's why I trying to in my business, I want it to be so systemized. If I'm not there, like at least things are still happening, right? And I think that's the ultimate goal, and that's true entrepreneurship is, it's not like, a lot of times, everyone talks about the grind and like, oh, we got to hustle and hustle, which is good, right? You have to, right? But what if you can do the, work smarter, not harder thing?
It comes down to systems, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Systems, everything
100%.
systems. That's what we learned this year. Sometimes you work too much, but if you leave your systems in place in the future, it's just gonna save you more time.
Yeah, 100%. I
Yeah.
agree.
For a new agent, how can they maneuver through getting through real estate and creating systems right off the bat, or would you recommend them joining a team first and then creating systems?
Yeah, I mean, I think joining a team is really important, right? If you kind of, especially now in the industry, right? Like the market, from if you look at how different the market is from March 2022, April 2021 to today, like where we are, the market is completely different. A lot of agents that have a lot of transactions under their belt, even they don't know what's going on in the market because buyers have kind of pumped the brakes. The media is pushing hard against real estate, like hot topic for the last 3 years has been real estate, buy. And now when it's just like, oh, all of a sudden real estate isn't the hot topic anymore, and prices are falling down, people are betting against it, right? So if you're joining, you need someone that's going to help you, kind of guide you, and is actually in the field, right? So when I have my team meetings, I talk to my team about what transactions I'm going through, right? 6 months ago, hey, look at this transaction. We went 50,000 above asking, and we offered to pay title policy. We waived repairs. We waived option for these reasons, right? And we still weren't selected. And so, when you're going 50,000 above asking and waiving appraisal, it's kind of like shooting in the dark, right? Like at that time, it was like you don't know what you were up against. So I feel like learning from experience is best, right? Especially at that time, some properties, March 2022 on a house, I offered 105,000 above asking for one of my clients.
Did he get it?
He did not get it.
Wow.
And this house was in Frisco. We offered 105,000 above asking. We waived appraisal, so he was already bringing 20% down, and then he was going to bring another 105,000 to the closing table. But I had looked at the comps, and me and my client, we kind of had a talk. We were like, hey, 105,000 above asking, where do we draw the line? And where it's competitive enough to where you're like, okay, it still makes sense for me to do this. I need this house and I love this house, but financially, he wanted to be in a make sure he wasn't going to be like, upside down like crazy. And the house was priced competitively. So we did that, we made the offer. And listing agent told me, she was like, hey, you guys aren't even competitive. And we were like, dang, because probably what probably won it was like, there's 3 or 4 offers that were a little bit higher than us. There's probably like a 125 above asking. There was probably like a 150 above asking with a full waiver, of course. And but me and my client, and we had a conversation, and in the appraisal waiver period of time when this was happening, like a year, basically from 21 to 2022, what I was asking my clients was like, hey, okay, instead of like, just, we'd look at the comps, and then I'd be like, what are you comfortable waiving? Because you have to look at the bank, you have to talk to the lender, you have to see the financial situation, right? Not everyone has enough to bring 20% down and then an additional 105,000 to closing on top of it if the property doesn't appraise, right?
Right.
So all those things were running through my head. And at the end of the day, these are my clients. They're trusting me with their biggest financial
Purchase.
purchase, right? So I had to kind of be like, okay, I had to be the one talking to them. And sometimes I did get pushback, like, oh, 50K, 75K, 100K above asking. Never. I will never do that. And then uh I would be like, okay, what's the max? And they'd be like, oh, I wouldn't go 40 above. Okay, cool, let's go 40 above. And let's see what happens. And we did it. And then sure enough, they picked someone else. So our offer wasn't selected. And that shows you that there was someone either that was willing, that had better terms. Usually for mostly sellers, what's most important to sellers? The bottom line, right? And once you do this enough, you'll realize 95% of sellers, when you're selling in a hot market, what's the most important thing to them? The bottom line, right? What are they walking away with? And 2021, a lot of people walked away with a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, now that you say the market, right? We've been witnessing as well, right? We've had listings that stay on the market, I mean, longer than normal, right?
hmm
So what is your advice to maybe realtors who are seeing a big change now? Because I'm pretty sure, I believe so many agents were signing up
hmm
in the past 2 years,
Yeah,
right? So
100%.
what's gonna happen now? What's your advice so they can stay in business in the
Yeah.
coming up
Yeah.
years?
So, it's back to the basics, right? Like if you recently just got into real estate, especially in 2021, right? You need to go find a mentor that was selling before 2021, right? If you've only seen like, like those times are gone, right? Like where, you put the listing on the market and I put the listing on the market Thursday and I have 5 offers by Sunday, right? Like those days are gone, right? But there is still like, as me, like, I'm still like coaching my sellers to make sure their listing is presentable, right? Like 2020, 2021, early 2022, everything was getting multiple offers. But I mean, if you really think about it, even at that time, you still had to price the property correctly. You can't just, like even like 2020, 2021, I wasn't overpricing my listings. I was, I would look at comps, obviously, and I would really kind of try to make sure as the listing agent, my goal was to get traffic through the door, right? I'm not just trying to just throw a random number. Every real estate agent has a different style, right? If I'm going up to a seller and a seller tells me my house is worth 400,000 because my neighbor sold it for 400,000, and then I run the comps and see that, well, the neighbor had a pool in the backyard and the square footage was bigger, I'm not going to take the listing if he's going to tell me, "Hey, you have to list my house at 400,000." Because what does that do for me? If I know the listing's not going to sell, I'm not going to take the listing. Now, I will try to work with the seller and try to show them,
Explain to him
explain
why.
to them, right? Because ultimately, a seller may say, "Oh, well, my son got married in this backyard. My children used to play in this backyard. This house is priceless for me." Well, the market, the market and the appraiser and I can put a good price on it, right? Because at the end of the day, like everything has a value. And so a lot of times, us as humans, we kind of value our things more. And the seller will always think that their item is worth more. Turn that same seller into a buyer and watch how quickly they start devaluing someone else's thing, right? Like, so it's all psychology. All the numbers are there. You have to have a willing buyer, you have to have a willing seller. And like you said, what is gonna keep people in the business? Relationships. Real estate is all about who you know. As a real estate agent, like you have to, it's all about who you know, right? That'll take you really far. But if you're not, as an agent, willing to kind of put in the work and try to study the market every single day, like open up MLS every day. Okay, where are we having price reductions? What's going pending? What's going under contract? Oh, this was under contract. Why did it come back on the market? When I'm putting up a listing on the market, I'm calling everything that's under contract, pending, and closed in the last 15, 20 days. Hey, how did your transaction go? Because was there good traffic? Did you pick up a buyer at an open house that you may have for this that you want to represent for my listing? So it's those type of things where a lot of people won't go above and beyond and do those things. And I teach my team, like, hey, these are the type of things you have to do. You have to do the open houses. You have to show up. You have to network. You have to go, even just as simple as knocking the neighborhood real quick, letting people know, hey, we are having an open house. Neighbors love coming to open houses. Oh, they're like, oh, I've always wanted to see the inside of Mrs. Smith's house. Like that's and those are sometimes like the basics. And 2020, 2021, early 2022, a lot of agents got lazy and they're like, open house, never. I would never host an open house. Well, it's like, now and especially if you're getting taught and mentored by someone with that mindset, you know I think who you're around really matters.
Yeah, and not just that, but I've also noticed that people think, oh, the market's slowing down, when in reality, it's just back to normal, how it really used to be,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
Yep.
Just a normal thing. You list your house, open houses, get customers in, cold call.
Yeah.
Like you said, back to the basics. Just that people got too comfortable seeing these type of situations that
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
so easy and
And now we're gonna see, who the real hard workers are in the next
100%.
next 2 years.
100%. And it's just like 100%. I mean, even 2020, 2021, 2022, early 2022, a lot of agents were just coasting by, and like they kind of took for granted what the market was. I mean, everyone that was really in the market and really thinking knew it wouldn't always be like this. I mean, we're blessed to be in Dallas Fort Worth area. I don't think our market I don't think our market has slowed down, quote unquote. Yes, we're not getting those ridiculously 100,000 above asking offers, but that wasn't happening everywhere. Where was 100,000 above asking offers happening? Prosper, Frisco, like
Austin.
yeah, Austin, that was happening in certain cities. It wasn't happening in every city. I'm sure some areas in Fort Worth, yes, there was houses that sold 100,000 above asking, but majority of the business where that was happening was North Dallas, like, the Frisco area, Collin County. I think Collin County probably saw most of that. Arlington, yeah, we were getting, 40K above asking, 50K above asking. It all depends on the house. I mean, if you think about it, I just lost that offer last week and it was a multiple offer situation. And, me and my client, we kind of talked about it. It was a house that was in Louisville. House was listed at 540,000. And, we went 5K above asking, just to kind of, because I haven't done a multiple offer situation in about 2 months. So I was winning multiple offer situations all the time. I talked to the seller and I was like, hey, what's important to them? And they were like, oh, we don't need a lease back. And my buyer, he's nervous, right? Interest rates are higher than 2021 for sure, right? But if you look at market trends, they're not higher than all time, right? Historically, we're still low. There's people that majority of our parents, their first interest rates were ever 8 to 9%.
yeah, but the deal with that is that I'm still trying to understand as well is that yeah, they were at 12%, 15% back in the day. but the homes were $100,000,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
Now imagine 10%, 12% on 300,000.
Yeah.
Isn't that a big difference?
It is a huge
It's
difference, but
inflation or what?
man, I mean, it's a huge difference. So one thing about Texas is our properties, our values aren't supposed to be that high because of property taxes. Property tax kills here, you know,
Mm.
and property tax, and then a high interest rate, and then values skyrocketing. Because I mean, right now, 300 to 400K is almost a starter home in DFW. Like, that's not how it was in 2018, 2017. So you could get a really nice home for 250 in 2017, 2018. Like, I'm talking about like 1800 square feet in Bedford. Like, that same home today is 400K. I mean, a little bit of it is demand, right? Supply and demand, right? The prices have naturally gone up there. Everyone is trying to buy. You have these big you had Open Door, you have Redfin, then you have all these, kind of behind the door investors purchasing. I think I saw an article that JP Morgan's trying to purchase $1 billion worth of residential real estate.
Yeah, so here's the deal with that, right? The majority of these corporations, they're scooping up
Single family
properties,
homes.
right? Single family
Single
homes
family
because they
homes.
want to turn it, they want to turn our lifestyle, then you could say, like, let's put it this, the population into a subscription model.
Yep.
They want to turn the whole US into renters and
Yep.
not homeowners.
Oh, 100%.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, it's to them, it's a great to them, it's a great return on their money because rent is only going up. I haven't seen rents come down, right? But interest rates went up, but rents didn't come down. And I mean, if you can get into the like I personally, am a landlord, right? Like, so I have renters, and that's probably one of the businesses that I want to do more of, right? Because it's like, to me, I've locked in this property. I've locked in this property. My, what it cost me to run the property and own the property, liabilities and everything like that. I can still cash flow, and someone else is paying for it, and it's still appreciating. 5 years from now, it's going to be worth even more. You know what I mean? And like, who knows? Like, that's what real estate has always done. 5 years from now, like, anything could possibly happen. Could that property's value, decrease? Potentially. But I mean, I'm in real estate. I'm betting on real estate. No one's seen the future. But if we look
At the trends.
at the trends and historically, it's gonna be in my best interest to buy as many properties as I can. And obviously, I cannot do it at the level that JP Morgan does it. But let's say I have a little portfolio 5 years from now that has 30 properties in it. I think I'll be pretty happy and satisfied.
And honestly, just by what I like to do as well is just what are they doing? What are the central banks doing?
Mm-hmm.
What is Nancy Pelosi doing? You
Yeah.
see them stocks, what they're buying, just buy that, you're gonna win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
And I think that's why everybody loves real estate, man, because it's like it's hard to hedge against real estate,
Yeah.
So
People always need a place to live, and shelter is the most essential. Obviously food, shelter is so essential, because it's like, let's say the worst of the worst recession hits, right? Well, your tenants aren't, yeah, it may be harder for them to pay rent, right? But that is going to be one of their main priorities. They need shelter,
They don't want to
And-
be on the streets.
no, I mean, like, if if you look at it, like, the reason I do love real estate is because, if tomorrow my renters told me, like, they wanted to purchase the house that I'm renting to them, if it makes sense, if the numbers make sense, cool, let's talk about it. Like, I personally think owning real estate is the key to success. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people talk about it, like, even my agents, some of my agents that are on my team, they have rental properties, and all their goals is the same. And it's just like, yeah, you can't really predict what's going to happen 5 years from now, 7 years from now, 10 years from now. There may be a down market, but it's like, kind of like stocks. If you pick up stocks, don't sell them when they're low. Just keep, you gotta see it through. Like 2021, 2022, a lot of people held on, and they thought it was the right time to sell. And sure enough, it was. Now, you may have some people that were kicking themselves. Oh, I sold too soon, or I didn't sell quickly enough. You can't ever time the market for the perfect time to sell. You can't ever time the market for the perfect time to buy. what are your needs, right? So like right now, currently, what my buyers are experiencing. Okay, let's look at it. Do you need to sell? Do you need to sell your house? Yes. Why? Oh, the current house that I'm in is not big enough. It doesn't satisfy the needs. I need a home office. I have a second child on the way. I need another bedroom.
Mhm.
Okay. So for you, it may make sense to sell, right? Like and upgrade and go to that larger. Because where do we spend the majority of our time? Before pre-COVID, you could say, oh, I'm going out. People traveled a lot more. COVID really changed the US and all across the world. I don't know if you guys like kind of think about it, how, personally, my lifestyle changed a lot. I was at home a lot more. And, and that's kind of one of the things that caused the real estate boom as well. People being home and realizing the things that they didn't like, people needing a second home office. You have a husband and a wife working from home now. There's so many people that are still working remote, you know?
Yeah, so all that affected.
Yep.
Hey, but I know we went straight to business now, and let's take it back, man. Let's talk about you for the people who don't know you.
Yes, yes.
You know, if you want to talk a little bit about where you're from,
Yeah, yeah.
where you grew up, that sort of things.
Yeah, yeah. So, my name is Navjot Singh. I go by Nav, makes it a lot easier on people. I'm born and raised in Arlington. So, I'm local. Went to Diddle Elementary, Young Junior High, Martin High School, and then straight from there, I went into UTA. So I got my university degree from UTA. Studied psychology. Really enjoyed my time there, and then from there, family business is a car dealership. We've been in that industry. Or my parents and uncle have been in that industry for 30 years, and they started investing. Me, my uncle, and dad started investing in real estate about 10 years ago, and so started off buying foreclosures at the county courthouse steps, and kind of from there started with flips, then moved into rentals, and a couple owner financed properties now, commercial here and there, a little bit of everything. Can't just do one thing, can't just stick to rentals, can't just stick to flips. You got to do a little bit of everything. I mean, the key is to diversify.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you always have that entrepreneurial mindset growing up?
Man, me, my brother, he's 18. He was kind of joking with me. He was like, "Man, when you were in high school, you used to sell phones." I didn't do it a lot, right? But sometimes like, came across a phone, someone was selling it. Oh, what do you want for it? Okay, cool. Just flipped it real quick. That as a second first generation and just an entrepreneur mindset, like it's just natural, like not even to like hustle, but just business, right? Like, and I think that's where the first thing was like, oh, I can take this and turn it into this,
Yeah, just
Just
trading,
yeah,
right?
just
making
trading.
transactions happen
Yeah, just it's
smoothly.
so funny. Like I look back at it, I was like, dang, I didn't even know I was doing business there. I was doing business in my fraternity. I was doing like it just happens naturally. Networking and business, I think they come to you naturally. I was very reserved in high school,
Mm.
and then college came. I opened up completely. I wanted to. I remember at my freshman orientation, me and my sister were at freshman orientation at UTA together. I looked at her and I was just like, there was a guy, I think he was student body president at the time. I was like, I'm going to be student body president. And I just said it to her. I was just messing around. I was like, that's cool. I was like, he gets to address the whole university. So I actually didn't become student body president. I served as Mr. UTA, which was kind of like the president of the ambassador program. So basically, I won that position. And so that was kind of like one thing that was really cool. It's pretty much the equivalent to student body president, but more focused on traditions. We had I had a co-president, which was a Miss UTA, so Mr. UTA, Miss UTA, and then Homecoming King did that, which was pretty cool. And then I was really involved in my fraternity, and I was actually the interfraternity council president, which was we oversaw all fraternities. So it kind of was crazy, like getting voted on by other fraternities, right? The people that we're supposed to
Mm.
be in competition with, and like obviously there was people that were running against me from different fraternities, but they saw me fit to lead all of them and kind of communicate with our advisors like, hey, this is what we need and this is what we need to do to grow as an organization. And it was probably one of the best experiences, like my college lifetime. But after that, it was straight to business.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's one of the reasons a lot of people love going to college is for the networking.
Yes, yes,
Do you
yes.
still talk to people in your fraternity?
Oh yeah. I just had one of my bachelor parties. I did two bachelor parties. I had two different friend groups. So I did one with like the people that I grew up with, like from my community, all my Punjabi friends. We went to Cancun, and then my second bachelor party was a lot of my real estate team, and then a lot of my college friends. So it was just everyone from. I just was like, all right, we'll do one together, and we went to Scottsdale, Arizona. We had a great time. So yeah, that I think there's probably like 4 or 5 of my fraternity brothers from college that they're really like best friends. We still talk all the time.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah. So once you get out of college,
Mhm.
how was it that you got into becoming a real estate agent?
Yeah, so I was at the car dealership. So my family business is a car dealership. I was actually working at Honda, and I was just kind of trying to figure out what are the big dogs doing, what is the Honda dealership down the street doing, and quickly learned it's not it's a lot of work when you're working at a car dealership. I was still in college, so this kind of story kind of isn't. It leads up to after college, but I was working at a car dealership, and I was, I enjoyed it. I was trying to figure out what they do, and I basically figured out to be successful in the car dealership industry, you have to just dedicate yourself to sales, 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 and then you got to climb the ranks. You got to go to finance school. In the dealership, they can send it to you and either become a finance manager or a desk manager, and usually that's kind of the route. Is you have to be a really good salesman, and then from being a really good salesman, if you want to continue and elevate, a lot of people, that's where they get satisfied. They're like, I just want to sell cars, I don't want to train, I don't want to be a manager, I don't want to do anything, like they just want to focus on selling the product, right? So I kind of realized, like, man, I'm live a very social life, uh, and I was just like, man, I'm gonna have to be here even on Saturdays from 8 to 9 p.m. I was like, at that point, when because bell to bell was a big thing in the car dealership industry, and so I realized, like, hey, this wasn't for me. And my family, we had already started purchasing real estate and stuff like that. And at that point, it was kind of like I saw myself, I was kind of overseeing, like kind of like helping my dad with his flips and stuff like that while working at the car dealership. And I realized, like, the agent, he kind of messed us up in a transaction or two that we were working with. And he just wasn't paying attention to details, wasn't communicating. He was much older, and I was just like, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. And I talked to my dad, and he told me, yeah, he's like, yeah, you go get your real estate license. We'll fix them up, and then you'll list them. And you know what I mean? One thing started with another. So I was just kind of posting. At that time, social media was new. Instagram and all that stuff was just coming around. Started posting the flips that we were working on, and then friends saw that, oh, this guy's in real estate. They were graduating college, or they were just getting back from wherever they went to college, started reaching out to me, oh, hey, I need my first house. And I was just like, well, I have my real estate license, but I'm not really helping other people yet. It's just kind of for myself. And then they're like, no, like, I don't trust anyone, I want to work with you. And really, I was just like, okay, well, let me kind of start taking it more seriously. And I joined Don Lawyer's team, and just kind of I would join Keller Williams, and was like, okay, let me take this seriously, let me learn. And at that time, Don hadn't taken on a new agent in like 12 years, and so from there, I really was impressed with him. He was the number one agent at that time in Tarrant County. He was selling 300 plus homes a year, and like a lot of the transactions was him. And he was very, very inspirational. And like, you tell him a street in Arlington, oh yeah, I'm gonna go look at this house, I have a buyer for it. He could tell you the who built it, what kind of floor plan it was, and like approximately the square footage and the price. And I was like, dang. And that's when I learned, I was like, oh, I want to be successful in here, I gotta submerge myself and really, because like once I start doing something, I want to try to do the best I can and try to be successful, right? Like, no, I don't think a lot of people, well, majority of people that I know, they don't wake up and say like, oh, let me just go be average. Like they want to do the best they can. So he was very much part of my beginning of my career. And then when I realized, like, okay, hey, I can do this on my own, and I've learned what I need to know, and I'm kind of doing my business on my own. Let me go venture out and try to just become an individual agent. After 2 years, got my that's when I switched over brokerages and just kind of started focusing on myself and just branding myself. And then it continued to grow. People started seeing me. Oh man, this guy's doing 30, 40 transactions a year, and like, start winning, like, top producer at my office out of 200 agents. It just kind of, people kept calling, and I built my brand. I always focused on branding myself. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
And what's impressive, man, congratulations now from being an agent for how many years already?
So this is start of year 6.
6?
Yeah, this is
And you've officially got your broker license.
yes.
How does that feel?
Yeah, so we've started. I founded Signature Real Estate Group. Signature Real Estate Group is the parent company to Sing Real Estate Group. So I'm very excited. Like, kind of like how we were talking about. Uh, you know, I've this is something I've been very excited about. I've been at so many brokerages. Basically, the reason I created my brokerage was for other agents, right? Like, I have a team and I love what I'm doing, right? And I'll always have my team. So my parent company is Signature Real Estate Group. My team is Sing Real Estate Group. We're powered by Signature, but now I feel like it gives my agents the ability, if they ever want to go start their own teams, or if they ever want to become an individual agent, which none of my agents have left that have been on my team. uh I just wanted to create a resource for them where they can truly feel like it's a part of their brand and they can brand themselves. And all my agents are like, hey, whatever you do, we're rocking with you, because we built a good culture. Our goal isn't to be the biggest brokerage in America. We just want to be, we'll see where it takes us. If we expand to Austin, Houston, San Antonio, great. If we're just local Dallas, and we're 40 agents 2-3 years from now, great. We're not trying to grow like like too fast to where we can't even manage it and it becomes something that we don't want it to be. This is a brokerage for agents by an agent, where, like, it's something truly like they can feel like they're their own brand, they're a leader. And like, because every time I was at a brokerage, I never focused on branding Keller Williams or whatever, right? I only focused on branding myself, Nav Singh, and the Singh Real Estate Group. Once I started my team, those were my only focuses. But what did the brokerages always want? They always wanted to, for me to push their brand, which is like, people who are working with you. Like, if they come up to me and they choose to work with me, they're not working with me because I'm at XYZ brokerage. They're working with me because they know me, they trust me, and I'm a friend, and I'm gonna get the job done from them. It does, like, every single one of my clients from the past. You can go ask them; they'll never know what brokerage I was at. Right? To them, that's irrelevant. So that's where the vision hit me, and I was like, man, I really need to start something where people can truly brand themselves and be themselves, versus just pushing another multi-million dollar company and helping someone else make more money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I believe you could become a brokerage after 4 years, right?
Yeah, 4
So
years.
you're running.
Well,
You're
so
going
to
on
a certain
6.
point, I think now it's like 6.
Oh, is it? Yeah. I did.
Was timing a big key factor in it, or
So like so to me it was, like, there's always going to be a reason not to open your own business. There's always going to be a reason not to do it. You have to do it when you feel like you're ready, when you have the systems in place, when you have the time and energy. I'm really busy. I'm always going to be really busy. So you can't, like, just like I said, there's not never a perfect time to start, buy a house, sell a house. It's whenever it's right for you. Same thing for me. I could always find a reason not to do it. I just had to find a time that I can commit to, putting the systems in place, hiring the right people, and like, because basically, hired some broker support, and like, because I can't do everything. I'm still in production, right? Like, yes, I can coach and train agents, but the ultimate goal is to have a team, right? You got your media people, you got broker support, you got training people. One person cannot do it all. If you think one person can do it all, like that's where you're gonna crash and burn and fail. And that's why I kind of said, like, even right now I haven't went out and started recruiting agents. I've had a lot of agents call me. Right now it's pretty much still my team, and I've taken meetings, like, new agents that have known me for a while. And like, I mean, I by it's November, end of November right now. By January, February, I should have, in addition to my 10 agents on my team, I should probably have another 5, 6 agents on board as individual agents. A lot of people want to come onto the team even now. But I want to grow organically and with the right people, because even there was a time, like right now, specifically my team could be 20 agents. And the reason I haven't done that is because they're not the right fit. Yes, they say, "Oh, I want to join your team. Yes, I'll be dedicated." But I mean, it's all the little things, right?
It's
Are they?
more than that, right?
Yeah, it's more than that. And I could have a 20 agent team, and I could be like, "Oh, look, I have a 20 agent team. Look at me." uh,
Hey, but for anybody watching this video,
mhm,
what would it be like that person? What would you want from that person to have in
mhm.
order for somebody like that you would want in your team?
Yeah. So, real estate's a very flashy industry, right? Like a lot of the reason people get into it is because of financials, right? Which is, you know, uh, I think a lot of people, like for me, the right person is someone who genuinely wants to learn and, knows real estate isn't easy money. If someone talks to me and they say, "Oh yeah, I want to be in real estate because I can make a lot of money." Great. Yeah, you can make a lot of money, but you have to work for it and you have to earn it. And I don't want to be around those people that kind of just join and think, "Oh, it's going to be quick and easy." And then when it doesn't work out their way, they quit, because that looks makes me look bad. That makes my brand look bad. And it's like, "Oh, they're just a revolving door." They have agents come in, they're not successful, and then they quit the industry. So for me, I'd rather take on an agent that's only selling, 4 or 5 houses a year, but they're dedicated and they're patient and they're trying to learn, versus someone who's just trying to just
Quick money.
quickly just chasing the bag. I'd
Hmm.
rather work with an agent that's dedicated is and personality, right? Like not everyone's gonna like my personality. uh Me, I try to come to this with like a humble, genuine approach, at least in my eyes, right? Like I want to be known as the guy that, like, hey, he's knowledgeable, he knows what he's doing, we can trust him with our largest transaction ever, right?
Hmm.
And basically, you asked me like, hey, what type of agent I want to come work for me. If I don't see myself, if I wouldn't buy a house from them, I don't want them a part of my team, or I don't want them part of my brokerage.
Hmm.
So like that's a question I ask myself after every meeting. Would I use them as my agent? Yes. Okay, cool. I'll probably, like, but if the reason is like if I feel off they're coming too much salesy and stuff like that. I mean, we look at a lot of real estate gurus on TikTok, on stuff like that, and they're always like, "Oh, hey man, like yeah, you can push it. You got to be a closer. You got to be a closer. I close deals." Well, if you come with that mentality, no one's going to buy from you, in my opinion, right? For me, I'd rather take 3 months and help someone find the perfect home for them, then try to just push them into the quickest one and move on to the next one, right? Because at the end of the day, if they feel like they didn't have an experience, if I didn't listen to them and help them find the house that was right for them, and all I was cared about was the sale and the commission, do you think they'll ever use me again? Probably not.
Yeah.
And they're not ever gonna refer any family or friends either. And this is a who do you know business.
It's all word of mouth, right?
Yeah,
For the good and bad.
for the good and the
If it's
bad.
bad,
You're
you're
done.
done,
You're
right?
done. Yeah.
How do you feel now? Like now that you got your broker license, it feels good.
Yeah. So now that we've opened our brokerage and, we're officially in business and everything like that, and, there's a lot of work to do. Each day I'm like, oh man, there's a lot of work to do. So, I'm taking on mainly the role of, founder, CEO, and stuff like that. I'm hiring broker support. I'm hiring, training, education, compliance. I need to focus on the business aspect of it, and right now a lot of the recruiting is on me, but the ultimate goal when we do grow is to have like the right people with me, right? So like uh I kind of see it as like I'm still in production because my I'm
That was gonna be my next question. So when you put the two roles, how do you feel like you're balancing that?
I mean, not anything has really changed in my opinion. Because when I was running my team, is pretty much I was still like a CEO, right? But now it's just on a larger scale. Now it's like there's a little another separate branch where seasoned agents and new agents. So like new agents, they're gonna have a new agent joins my brokerage, they're gonna be mentored by someone, right? If you're like a seasoned agent, if you're coming from a popular brokerage, a lot of the times you're just already have a lot of the training and everything like that, and you just want to be somewhere where you can brand yourself and be yourself, and with the culture, like all the meetings that I've already took with agents that want to join me or join my brokerage is like people that want to brand themselves and kind of just you know they like our culture and they see doing well with us, right? So I don't think like a lot of my responsibility has changed in that sense because it's kind of like the same. It's just now the company that's on top is me, So I guess I got to report to
If
myself
if
too.
anything, exactly, it's more of a relief in a way
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. Yeah, no, it feels nice, like it feels nice. There's responsibility, right? Like I want to do the best for my agents. I want to make sure they have the best tools, the best training, and that's kind of like on the top of my mind always, right? Making sure that they're taken care of because as owning a brokerage, you're employed by your agents, so I technically, a lot of like my mindset is this is where the model is broken. A lot of people feel like they work for the brokerage. No, the brokerage works for you. So like that's the mentality that I'm taking into it. And you know that's why I don't want to get too big where I can't no longer me and my team, whoever is helping me run the brokerage, as soon as wherever we get too big and we can't work for our agents anymore, that's when we failed. So we have to find enough people, enough resources, and I have to have a solid team that how many agents can we support? 15, 20? How many teams can we support? 3, 4, 5? And those are going to be growing pains. We're going to find out. It's not going to happen overnight, right?
Right.
Right now, I know we can probably support 3 or 4 teams and probably 15, 20 agents, right? But I'm not going to go do it and try to onboard everyone right away, right? But as we grow, I'm going to just see, okay, how many people do we have the capacity to serve? Once I figure that out, then we can bring on more people. If it feels like we can't, then we're done growing.
Do you already have like the maybe I don't know, like whoever's listening to this might want to reach out to you and
Yeah.
ask more questions, but do you already have like what's gonna be your split for your brokerage?
So we're kind of working on that. It's not all agents aren't like all agents aren't looking like for specific splits.
Individual or
Yeah, individual. So everything is gonna be case by case basis. We have a pretty generic idea of what we kind of want to do. It's what all the popular brokerages are doing, right? But there's one we want to incentivize people to like eventually if they are bringing people on, how can we incentivize them? How can we incentivize them? Where do we
and
max them
see
out?
me from like a team lead, right?
Yeah.
From my point of view, it would be good maybe to sit down and talk to you in private just about how can we work something, because to me it's not about the split or the cut.
Yeah.
It's about if I need you,
Yeah.
I'm gonna call you
100%.
type of thing, you
Yeah.
know?
And majority of agents, like I think a majority of agents, the split doesn't really matter. It's about the resources. It's about okay, are we going to work together as a team, and are we going to have this like network of we're selling, we're doing wholesale deals, we're doing off market deals, we're doing like you can become a powerhouse within, like, hey, I have a listing coming, do you have a buyer? Okay, cool. Like it's in that sometimes that can be a resource for your sellers. That like a lot of sometimes you'll have sellers that don't want their house to go on the market or on MLS, right? And they want the deal done off the market and quickly because time is of the essence. And if you have a network, if you have a brokerage that believes in that network of like, hey, we're gonna help each other, we're gonna help each other grow. It's not an internal competition. Yeah, at the end of the day, it is competitive nature, right? Like who got the most sales in 1 month, right? But if you look at them and you're like, oh, I'm jealous of that person, right? No, like what can you do that I'm doing in my network and I can teach you, and now you go do that in your network, and now we're all killing it. You know what I mean?
Or
And
do it better if you
yeah,
can, type
yeah,
of
if you
thing, right?
can, right? Because like the thing is like, you can always look at someone else's closing and be like, oh man, they're closing so many deals, X amount of deals a month, right? Cool. If they're only just doing that for themselves, you know what I mean? Like I think a lot of times it looks better on the outside. Sometimes you don't know, like, you know what I mean, what the other person is doing. Uh I think that's what happens a lot in the real estate business is everyone starts looking at, oh, look at what he's doing. Oh, look at what they're doing. Oh, look at what that person's doing. You need to focus on yourself,
On your, yeah,
And
exactly.
so like
One time I had recruited this one guy that reminds me of him, and the only thing he could do every day was talk about this other guy what he was doing. And so I told him, I was like, bro, like, what are you doing? Just focus on yourself. Hit the phones, go door knock,
yeah.
and you'll do even more.
Yeah. Yeah, and so a good example is you go to the gym and you see a guy bench pressing 405 next to you, right? You're not gonna just go bench press 405 just because the guy next to you
Yeah.
is bench pressing 405. That guy's been in there for years working at it. So you don't know what all he's done to get there. You don't know how many chicken and rice bowls he's eaten. How much protein
Right.
powder he's drank to get to that level, right?
That is
And the
true.
same thing with agents. You don't know how many cold calls they've done. You don't know how many doors they've knocked. You don't know how many open houses they've hosted. On the outside, you're like, oh, all you see is closings, right? What's happening behind the closings, right? There's cold calling, there's knocking on doors, there's social media, creating content. All that stuff is happening behind closed doors, right?
But that's I feel like that's the biggest problem nowadays, that nobody wants to do the real work.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
you could. I feel like most people nowadays, they think it's all like social media marketing.
Yeah.
But in reality, everything is actually happening. The people who door knock, the people who cold call, the people who out there speaking to people, networking. That's really the basics to get your business flowing.
And I think it's tiers, right? If you just focus on social media, right? Like you were saying, cool, you may get a little bit of business, right? But let's say, social media slows down, like and then you start doing cold calling, right? And then you add a little bit of door knocking. You need to recession proof your business essentially, right? Because there is going to be a day, like let's say if my only source of business is TikTok. There was a day and age where we all logged into MySpace for the last time and never logged back in. And there's going to be a day and age where you're going to log into TikTok for one day and you're never going to log back in. And it's going to happen to Instagram. I've already seen Instagram engagement is down horribly. Like for real estate agents and everything like that, it's just the nature of the beast, right? People get tired of things, right? I mean, I know a lot of agents that built their business on Facebook and interactions down on it too, right? Because eventually people get tired of it. I know so many of my friends. Like I was talking to one of my friends and I was telling him like, man, Twitter's gonna sell and they're gonna have to pay to get on Twitter and stuff like that. And he's like, dude, you still get on Twitter? He's like, I haven't gone onto my Twitter since 2019. And like I was like, dang. And that's when it got me thinking, like, there is gonna be a day and age where who knows when it's going to happen, right? But Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, they're all going to be.
Or it's even good to try multiple things and what works best for you, because maybe you don't even know, but you could have like you could be a door knock specialist because of the way
100%.
you talk to people
Yeah.
differently through the phone and actually in person.
Yeah. Or an open house expert, right? I think open houses is one thing that'll never
Yeah,
die.
open houses.
I think it'll be one thing that'll never die, but enough agents are not doing it. And I still host open houses. My team hosts open houses.
You know what blew my mind when I read the book Shift by
Yeah, Gary Keller.
Keller?
Yeah.
The levels of open houses. Did you see that page?
Yeah.
Where it was just like level 1, just open house. Level 2, open house. 100 phone calls. Level 3 open house, 100 phone calls, flyers, and then you just kept adding on. Level 7 was like 3 open houses in the same neighborhood, like 20 signs around the neighborhood, 100 phone calls, door knocked the day before, door knocked the same day. It was just like so much.
That's
Yeah.
killer right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I mean, like that's the thing is right. Like it's branding yourself, right? Like you hit three. If you tell me you do 3 open houses in the same neighborhood, you are gonna see the same people, and they're gonna see you, and then all of a sudden, see, this is the thing about
Area specialist.
yeah, area specialists, and this is the thing about a lot of buyers. They don't understand how it works, right? If they go to 3 open houses and they see you, they're gonna be like, oh man, you're like an area expert, you're at every single open house. They don't understand those aren't your listings. They don't
Mhm.
necessarily understand that. All they see is you at 3 open houses, and even if they see you across the span of 2 weeks, I guarantee you, if you can build a relationship with them, they will call you and they will use you as their
Multiple
agent.
contacts,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well, they did this experiment, right? They door knocked in a neighborhood, and they said, who's the number one agent here?"
Yeah.
And everybody named like a different one, right?
Yeah.
So then this one guy was like, "Watch what we're gonna do." They did like a series of mailers, and they sent it out for like I think 7 weeks straight, the same mailer. With there was like a random guy, just a random name, and they put the number one real estate. But they sent the mailers 7 weeks or something like that straight.
Mm-hmm.
They door knocked again, and they said, "Who's the number one real estate in this area?" And they said the guy from the mailer.
Yeah.
Dang.
And I mean, that's
That
business.
marketing.
Marketing
Yeah,
right there.
marketing,
Yeah.
branding yourself, right? And that's the thing that agents need to remember. It's all about branding yourself, right? And that's what I tell my agents. Hey, it doesn't matter what the market's doing, right? If the market's down right now, when it comes back up, if you focused on branding yourself when times were good and when times were bad and when times were okay, if you consistently market yourself through those 3 times, you'll be great. If you just say, oh man, times are bad, well, I don't want to post on social media, I don't want to go door knock, I don't want to go host any open houses, it's not generating any business. Well, the thing is you have to continuously do it. Now when I market my team and now when I market my brokerage, I'm going to continually and constantly do the same thing over and over again, because no matter what, I have to continue to brand myself as a team, as a brokerage or whatever, and as a real estate agent. I'm gonna have to market myself as 3 things: as a brokerage, as a team, and as a real estate agent. I'm doing all 3 of those things still. So I think that's the key is like this focusing on branding, whether that's with door knocking, open houses, cold calling, social media, a mixture of all 4. If you can do all 4, great.
Yeah, I think a big key factor for new agents coming in the social media game is to start documenting more and less creating.
Yeah.
So if you do the basic, you cold call, you door knock, you talk to your clients and you document that stuff, people are really gonna be attracted to that because that's your true self, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we just gone through like a big stage of social media where everybody's just creating instead of documenting. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that does make sense. Yeah. I mean, people want to know what's going on in transactions. Tell me about a deal. Tell me about how did you get your client 4.8% interest where everyone else is getting 7%. You know what I mean? Like I just threw up a post like about a month ago, and when interest rates were around like 7.5. My lender, he used some creative financing, did a 7-year arm. He got my buyer a 4.8% where everyone else was getting like 7.5. I got a lot of people asking like, "Hey, how the heck did you do that?" Well, let me tell you. You know what I mean? We did a 7-year arm. It was a new build. We got 15K in concessions from the builder, and we used it to buy down the rate. And now we're at a 4.8 rate. And then a lot of people were like, "Dang, like yeah, I need you as my agent." And I didn't do anything that was groundbreaking or anything like that, but all I did was document it and tell the world what me and my lender and buyer just did. And not all of them are the same. Not all deals are the same. It comes down to credit, how much concessions you can get and stuff like that. But ultimately our goal is to get each client the best deal, whether they're rate sensitive, price sensitive, or whatever it is.
Where do you see the market going here in the next couple months, 2023?
Man, it's so funny that you ask where do I see the market going, because literally like a month and a half ago, everyone I think Tom Ferry made a post and he was like, it was just the number 9. I was like, what the heck? And I read the caption. He was like, get ready to tell your clients that they're going to have 9% interest. That's what we're heading. And then literally 2 weeks after, we're back at 6.1%. And I didn't like, no one can predict the market, right? And it was so funny because, we all knew about the basis points and the hikes that were coming, and the Fed was raising it and everything like that. And it was so funny. Even some of people that I know that work in banking that were saying like, oh, hey, we're gonna interest rates are gonna be touching 10%, right? Even I had started to believe. I was like, well, like, interest rates are gonna be I'm gonna be having to tell my clients 8.5, 9%, and today it's November 25th, 2022, and I have clients getting 6.1, and I didn't think that was gonna happen.
That ain't bad, actually.
Yeah, I have clients getting 6.1, 6.2s, and literally I was kind of upset. I was like, man, like this sucks. Like, you know what I mean? Because the thing is historically we're still low, right? I think 4 to 5% is where we want rates to be. Even lenders I talk to, even the banks, even buyers, I think buyers are comfortable with 4 to 5%. It took a pandemic and a national crisis, or actually not worldwide crisis, to get rates to where they got to, like 3.5, 4%. But that's what it took to get that low. Are we going to see that again? I don't think so. I don't think we'll, that's just my personal opinion. I'm not a lender. I'm not a banker. I'm not a financial expert. But just in my opinion, I think it would take something crazy to happen to get us under the 4s again. But I think if we're between the 4 to 6 range, I feel like that's pretty healthy. Hopefully we stay between the 4 to 5. I think it'll be a while before we see 5%. But just real estate in general, I think DFW market is still moving. I think people who need to buy are buying. People who need to sell are selling. And I'd much rather be selling and buying here than anywhere else. You know what I mean? Yeah, like DFW market is, I think I saw an article, we're predicted to be the number 1 or number 2 market in the United States in 2023. I saw it on Dallas News. So Dallas Morning News. So that was very encouraging.
Exciting.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter where the rates are. It doesn't matter what's happening to home prices. People still need to buy. People still need to sell, and they need a trustworthy agent that can help them in their most important time of need, right? And I want to be there, whether it's interest rates are at all-time low or they're at an all-time high, because we just had the biggest drop. It was like I think a biggest drop in 30 years in the last I think it was 2 weeks ago when they came back down. It was it was a huge drop.
Yeah, and it's like, how are we gonna know how the Fed wakes up the next day? They could decide whatever, right, from one day to another.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, for me, I think right now is a really important time. I think right now is a really important time for people to make a move, especially because I think we're gonna have a really busy spring and summer market, just with the way that like people are getting used to it. People are getting used to these rates. People are kind of realizing like, hey, yeah, this is normal, right? Yeah, it's not an all-time record low like 2021 and 2022 was. And I mean, that's kind of why we saw those bidding wars.
And not just that, but think about it like this, right? Let's say 5 years from now, the interest rates are at 8%. You think that person that just got out of high school and wants to buy a house is gonna be like, oh, in 2022 they were at 2%?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't care. He wants to buy a house.
Yeah.
What does it matter?
Yeah, 100%. And like I think Dave Ramsey said it best. He said, "Hey, if you need to buy a house," and I don't always agree with what things Dave Ramsey
that's what I'm about to say.
I don't always agree with things Dave Ramsey says. And so like when he said this, I was like, dang, this guy actually said something that makes sense. He said, "Hey, if you need to buy a house, you go buy one right now. If rates come down, you refinance. If rates don't come down, good thing that you bought when you bought." You know what I mean? So it's pretty simple. Like people, you can make things as complicated as you want. Again, you cannot time the market. There is not a perfect time to buy. There's not a perfect time to sell. If there was, then everyone would wait for that perfect time. And let me know when it's the perfect time to buy, because I'd like to pick up 1 or 2 properties.
You know what it is? That we just need to stop watching social media.
Yeah.
Because all the gurus, it's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to... Yeah. And they're just selling you that news.
Well, and honestly, it's not even just like social media and the gurus. the news media, they push this narrative a
Yeah.
lot. I saw a record drop in sales prices on some article that Dallas News had shared, right? And I click the article, I start reading it, and like when I'm reading it, I see that sales are like they're saying, oh, sales are at an all-time low. Well, of course, if you're comparing January 2022 when you had an all-time high, you know what I mean? To
Like it wasn't gonna stay like
yeah,
that.
exactly. So they were like, "Oh, first time in 5 years, sales have slumped." And I started reading the article, and sales were down like 0.5%. I'm like, "Where's the slump?" Like, when
They're
you know,
selling you that title.
yeah,
They want you to click on it.
yeah, they want you to click on the article because at the end of the day, as I'm trying to read the whole article, Dallas Morning News even says, "Oh, pay $1 if you want to see the whole article. You got to subscribe. You got to buy the subscription." Like, I was like, "Oh," and so the person that did click the article, right, and they just read that, how many of them actually paid to read the whole article? And I did, and I subscribed, and I read the whole article. They're like, "Oh yeah, well, actually, we predict the market's going to be okay," but a majority of people, they're just going to go off the headline. And the craziest thing was, it was a sponsored post. So they're actually paying to promote this article because they know it's going to get clicks.
Wow. Yeah, that's why sometimes you have to stay away from regular media and vet your buyers and sellers, because whatever they see online and
Yeah.
see on TV and stuff, it kind of scares them and makes a different narrative for
Yeah.
them.
Well, headlines sell, right? Like
Yeah.
news sells. Nobody wants to see like, oh, market's okay, right? They'd rather say market's slumped or market's at an all-time high or rates are at an all-time high. The wording is what gets
Even
them.
even for the bad and for the good. Like right now, the stores are packed.
Yeah.
Because they really think that everything is on sale.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Black
the thing
Friday.
is you could have probably gone to the store a week ago and it would have been the
And-
same price.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Do you invest in any stocks?
You know when
Stocks, crypto, maybe?
you know when 2021 was crazy, right? Like when everyone was buying AMC, I bought AMC, I bought Dogecoin. I did a little bit of all the stuff. I stick to real estate. I do have like my people that Edward Jones that kind of help me for for tax purposes, for 401k and investing and stuff like that. I leave it to the experts, right? Like I don't actually try to go and day trade or anything like that. That's not mine. I ask my CPA, how much do I need to put in the market? How much do I need to put in savings? I meet with my advisor, Sergio, at Edward Jones, and he helps me. And, if he wants to put some in bonds, he tells me, hey, this is why you should put it here. This is why you should put it here. Like I let him.
But do you really like trust him 100% with your money?
I trust him because at the end of the day we have quarterly meetings each year, so we meet 4 times a year. It kills me, like, for tax benefits I have to put this money over here, right? Like it all comes down to like me and my CPA coming up with a financial plan. Okay, hey, you need to put this much over here, this much into retirement. Otherwise, you got to give this much to the IRS and everything like that. So there's reasons behind it. And these people are studying just like we sell real estate and we study it, and people who come to buy
They're doing
from
that
us,
full time.
they're doing that for full time. If I think I know more than them, then I need to be in that industry, right? If he needs real estate advice, he calls me, right? If I need advice financial, like, and like, again, like the government is very smart. They've created these ways for us to invest, right? And it gives you tax benefits. Otherwise, people would never.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's why the wealthy do it.
100%. It's for
Just
tax
working
saving.
that tax code.
Yeah, it's work. And I mean, like, the thing is it's like, it's not, there's going to be times, right? Like some years you're going to make a lot more money in real estate, and you have to, it's like, hey, you're not trying to avoid paying taxes, right? But you're trying to leverage your money. Like, okay, hey, it's kind of like when people do it's kind of when people do like a 1031 exchange, right? They're not avoiding paying taxes. They're
I mean, you're working the system.
Yeah, there's a system in place. It's been placed there by the the IRS, the government, for people to keep the economy moving. Otherwise, people would just keep money in the bank, right? And it would never leave it. You know what I mean? But like, this is, I think that the 1031 exchange is like kind of like probably one of the smartest things. It keeps people's business going, right? Like, commercial real estate agents, they probably love 1031 exchange because it's like, we just sold a property here and now we have to take this money and we have to go put it in a different property and purchase that.
And they just double up.
Yeah, and it's like that agent probably just got 2 transactions from him, more than likely.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a way to stimulate the economy.
Do you invest in any other assets like gold and silver?
No, not yet. I mean, my mom and my future wife, my Indian women love spending money on gold, but I don't think that's investing.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I mean, technically, there are investments because, like,
They
jewelry,
hold the value.
jewelry goes up, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. I mean, we've all saw what happened with even Rolexes. They went up really crazy. Now they're coming down. But I mean, again, like Rolexes were at an all-time high when they were like, even the APs were at an all-time high. Like, it's crazy. That's just how business is. Like, I'm on TikTok. There's all these watch jewelers now, and they're talking about, yeah, 2 months ago I could have given you $45K for the watch. Now I can only give you 30.
Yeah, I see those.
How long have you had yours for?
I probably bought. So I bought 2. I bought one in 2019. I bought one in 2021, and I just
You can't find them now.
And I kind of like, even 2019 and 2021, I went to my boy Lupe at Clear Fork, and I just kind of bought 2, and they both went up in value, so they were investments, right? I got the silver sub, and then I got the silver and gold sub, and I just bought them because I was just like, okay, I hit certain goals, and I kind of rewarded myself with them. I was like, okay, I did this not just to do it, and I mean, they're conversation starters, and they're something that I'm going to pass down to my brother and my kids, like, down the line. They hold their value. So
Yeah.
I mean, who knows, they may come one day, there may come a day that they don't hold any value, and if that happens, it happens. You can't bet on anything.
And it's a good way to meet new people,
Yeah.
conversation starters.
100%.
You're in the network of the watch industry and stuff. So.
Yeah, but I mean, watch TikTok is probably the biggest thing right now.
Really?
Yeah, TikTok is all about watches right now for some reason. Like, there's people talking about jewelry, there's live negotiations, and it's crazy. Those people are branding themselves and getting really popular
by documenting it.
By documenting it, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to jewelry stores, and they're saying like, hey, how much do you want to buy this watch for? Or, hey, I have a watch for you to sell. And I mean, they're probably making $500 to $1,000 on a watch. There's not a lot of margin, right? But it's all about finding the right watch, going to sell it, having the right buyer, and it's all about whose network you're in. Yep. So there's every industry is the same. It doesn't matter if you're a car dealer, if you're an exotic car dealer, if you're a realtor and you're selling real estate. It's like if you're just a even investor that's flipping houses. It's all about who you know.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? It's pretty tough question, but
yeah, so the next 10 years, I see myself still in the real estate industry. I do see myself in a couple of different ventures. Definitely, like, I do want to get back involved in at my parents' car dealership. I do love cars, so if I look back and I'm saying we have the dealership, maybe a second location, and we got 2-3 salespeople working for us over there, and then we're our brokerage 10 years from now is anywhere from 70 to 100 agents. I think we did well enough. You know what I mean? I mean, I think it's too early to say, right? I mean, if we hit 100 agents by year 4 or year 5, then we got there a lot sooner than we, you know what I mean? Like, and I mean, I'm not saying that's the goal, 100 agents, right? But I'm just saying, like, if you have 100 productive agents that are doing 20 transactions each a year or even more, you know what I mean?
Money.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's for not only for them, but for the brokerage, for the brand, and like, that means signs in the yard, that means branding, that means recognition. You know what I mean? So if it's not about like a dollar number. Yeah. It's like, I never had a goal of having 10 agents on a team. That was never a goal. It just happened, right? So we'll see where it goes. But yeah, if we're 10 years from now, if the brokerage has 100 agents, if we're running 2 car dealerships, 3 car dealerships, I'll look back and said, okay, hey, we did well, and we made a difference. Yeah. We because 100 agents that come on board and join me, that means they believe in me and they believe in my brand, and I feel like okay, I accomplished something, because that's what, and I was able to help them, right?
Yeah.
Because that means they stayed and they believed, and I was able to provide value to them. That's why they stuck around.
And it's all about the journey too. You got to enjoy
Hundred
the
percent,
journey and
100%.
just
And
keep
a
working.
lot of people try to grow too big too quick. We're gonna move like at a solid pace. Like I said, like you're not gonna go into the gym and start trying to bench 405 tomorrow. We'll work up to it. We'll get up there.
That's the thing about keeping it consistent, right?
Yeah.
So what's an advice you can, or not an advice, but let's say, what would you tell your 18-year-old Nav?
18-year-old Nav. Man, I would, if I could, if some, so there is an 18-year-old Nav. I have a little brother. His name is Hirschdeep. He's graduating from Martin High School.
Nice.
He's graduating from Martin High School this upcoming year. So my advice to him is, I want him to get his real estate license. Just kind of, I want him to go to college. I want him to go to college just because he's going to meet a lot of people. Those are 4 years in college that you never have to truly, work, but you learn a lot. And I mean, a lot of people do have to work while they're in college. Like I was working and stuff like that too. But I'm just saying those experiences, those real life experiences, because after 22, 23, once you're at that age, real life starts, right? Like, so the people that are 18, I mean, I know you guys probably look at people that are 18 and just like, man, like when I meet someone and they're like, oh yeah, I'm 18, I'm like, man, you got the whole world ahead of you, and I'm only 30. Right? I just turned 30, and I meet an 18-year-old and I'm like, I just look at him and I'm like, man, like the world is yours. You can do whatever you want. And truly, that is my advice: do whatever you want. Real estate isn't the only avenue, right? I know people that are killing it in the hospitality industry. I know people that are killing it in the marketing industry. I know people that are killing it in finance. But you have to have that confidence in yourself. You have to believe. You have to believe in yourself. You have to say like, oh yeah, like I want to excel in what I do. And I think those are the type of people that I like and that I type of like to be around. I'm not waking up, I'm not hanging out with any person that's like, let me go be average today.
Yeah,
I don't want to,
absolutely.
I don't want to be around that. I want to be people that like, I have so many friends that are in the media industry. I have so many friends in different industries, and they're all trying to strive and do more and be
Be
more.
great.
Yeah, be great. You know what I mean? And so like that should be like my little brother. I tell him like, hey, now's the time. Go network, go meet people, go shake hands. Like I know some people that are my age and they're about to become the president of the bank. Like, you know what I mean? Imagine being 29, 30 years old, and they're VPs at the bank right now, and they're just one step away. In the next 2 to 3 years, they'll be presidents of the bank.
And that's what I've noticed nowadays. It's like the young guys says, well, they're all hustlers now.
Yeah.
Everybody. It's like sometimes they're like 18, 19, 20, and they're sharp.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like I think we're in the industry right now. You can go on YouTube right now and learn anything. You can go on YouTube learn how to wholesale. You can go on YouTube learn how to DJ. You can go on YouTube and learn how to be a cold caller. You can go on YouTube and learn how to fix an iPhone. Like everything is on
Everything
YouTube.
is there.
Everything
We're
is on
definitely
there.
living in good times
Yeah,
right now.
yeah. But are you gonna go on there and apply it, or are you just gonna go on there and just waste time
Get
and just
distracted by
yeah, get
another thumbnail.
distracted? You have to apply yourself. You can learn how to cold call. You can learn how to market yourself. You can learn it all, but until you apply it, that's when really it happens.
Execution.
Execution is
And
key.
not giving up too.
Yeah, execution
Like
is key.
when I got into real estate, I remember I was like, there's no rush because I'm in this for the long game.
Yeah, 100%.
I just said, hey,
Sorry
you're
about
good,
that.
you're good.
Sorry.
I just said, like let's just go. Whatever happens, happens.
No,
One house at a
100%.
time.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's I think like like you said, like it is the long game. A lot of people get into this industry and think it's going to be quick cash and think that like, oh, I'll be great. But then the first sale doesn't come until 6-7 months, and now the back is up against the wall even more, right? So I every time I meet someone, I'm like, hey, why are you getting into this industry? Oh, well, I need to pay my bills. Well, let me tell you, you're about to have a lot more bills. Getting your real estate license isn't cheap. You know what I mean? I remember walking around and driving around and thinking to myself, man, one sale a month is all I need, or one sale even every 2 months, I'll be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it started adding up, and then I was like, okay, if I could get to two sales in 1 month, and then three sales in 1 month, or man, if I could just, the human nature, we always want more, especially the
Yeah.
type of people that, if you kind of have that go getter mindset, and like, man, I want to be next level, I want to be
Never
the best.
satisfied.
Yeah, and it's not because of like financials, like money is not the motivation. I think it's I want to serve as many people as I can, and I think that's why I'm not saying I've achieved a lot or anything like that, but I think a lot of, like, some people will tell me like, oh, hey, you're really successful, and I'll be like, okay, well, I feel like, yeah, like, okay, yeah, quote unquote, yeah, successful, right, 100%, but I'm not nowhere near where I want to be, and I've accomplished some things, cool, but what else can I do? How many more people can I help? A lot of my buyers still call me and like, meeting you was the best thing ever that happened to me. I bought this house. I've gained so much equity. My family is super happy. Just it was, again, it's not always about the financials. Sometimes it's just like, man, I made a lot of I made a lot of memories in my house. I made a lot of I've had friends that have been like, man, just because of you, like, I moved into the street, and then I got my life together. I found a potential wife. You know what I mean? Like, all those little things. It's
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. Those stories make you feel good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think the funniest thing is like, looking back at it, like, people kind of think about it and they're like, man, it's so crazy that you're my real estate agent, but we met in college, and it's like, otherwise I probably would have never connected to those people again, but they reached out to me because they had those memories, or they went to high school with me, and so it's like, dude, I get to go to like people's kids' birthdays parties because I'm their real estate agent, and I get to go to people's kids. I mean, a lot of my clients are coming to my wedding. You know what I mean? And it's just so crazy. It's like, we're connected by real estate, and so
Relationships.
that's why I love this industry so much, because I get to, like, it's kind of like, sometimes it's like, I go to a wedding. Like today, I was at a wedding. Someone was started talking to me about real estate. I'm like, dang, I'm at work. Like, literally, even though I'm at a wedding, it feels like I'm at work. And that is never my goal, to go places, right? Like, I really want to go see my friends and stuff like that. But somehow, some way, someone always comes up to me and they want to, hey, how's the market doing? Hey, when's a good time for me to sell my house? Or, hey, this is my buddy. He eventually needs to buy a house. I just wanted to connect y'all real quick.
Yeah,
That's never the
you
goal.
start attracting it.
Yeah, that's never the goal. And but it seems like it always happens.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
What motivates you?
My family, and now I'm gonna be married soon. Like 3 weeks from now, I'll be married. So I think that's gonna be just a whole nother level of motivation, right? Like, I have a person that is my life partner that wants me to do the best and be the best, and they have to see me in all aspects of life, try to achieve things and stuff like that. Like, I always tell her, like, hey, we got to be positive. The world is already negative enough, you know what I mean? And so, I tell my fiance, tell my family, all of them, like, they're the ones who motivate me, but I have to motivate them as well, right? So they keep me motivated. And just being like, my family is genuinely, like, my dad and uncle, they've accomplished so much, right? And to me, they are super successful, right? And I just have to keep the legacy going and see what I can do.
But with the motivation part, it's like when you get married, you get this motivated.
Yeah.
But when you have a kid,
Yeah, that's what they say. So I don't even know. I don't even want to know what I'll be like when that happens.
soon.
Yeah, a lot of
I'm calling this right now. Nav, be a father in 2 more years.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's one of my biggest goals, is to give my parents grandkids, right? Like, that's to them. They don't care how much real estate I've sold. They don't care about anything. All they want is
It's that legacy.
Yeah. They want some grandkids. They're ready to just chill and take care of them.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a blessing within itself. My parents are like, hey, just whenever you're ready to have kids, just let us know, and we're going to take care of them and help you guys. And because I'm focused on my business. My fiance, she's in she's working, and she's a career oriented woman, and like, that's a lot to women these days. That's a lot of pressure, right? Because back in the day, they didn't have to worry about their career. as much. Like a lot of women were stay-at-home moms. Now it's like you can't be, and they don't want to be, and they aren't. You know what I mean? And so, and it's just like, why should they, right? Like I know a lot of successful women in real estate, and it's just like if they were to have a kid, they've told me it's like they feel like it'll slow down their business, and so like it's
It is a big change.
it's a big change. It's a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
Everything.
My wife is an agent as well.
Oh wow.
Now that we had the baby, she kind of stepped back.
Yeah,
But
and
to me, it's amazing because my main priority is that my wife raises my kid. You know.
yeah, and so you stepped up, right?
Exactly.
So that's how it.
Now I got to put overtime.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it's just like, and my mom, she was a stay-at-home mom, and she was a great mother. And like, if my wife, she chooses eventually, she's like, hey, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. Cool, let's do it.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
That they have the option. That's what I tell my
Mhm.
wife. The beauty is that you have the option to.
Mhm. Yeah.
Imagine if I was a husband or ladies that have a husband and they tell them, you have to work
Yeah.
or we need to work.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad too.
Yeah, I mean, it's the reality that we're living in. Like you said, inflation is happening. You got to count our blessings. Like if like it's kind of like up to you like what works best for you, right? Some women, they can do both. They can be like some women, they can do everything, right? Like, and some women are just like, oh, like, I mean, daycare is expensive too, right? Like, so I know, like, and it's unfortunate, but sometimes it feels like, hey, we're going to work to go put our kid in daycare, and like that, like, because like that's how expensive it is. Because I know some daycares that are like 2K a month.
Yeah.
And so
500 a week.
yeah, so you imagine you have two kids that you're paying 4K a month for, and your salary is 4K. So it's like,
It's kind of necessary to work.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's necessary to work, but you're going to work just so someone can pay for.
Yeah.
I mean, there's there's differences.
And I guess
Not-
that's like more depending on the family and how you see it. Because again, like you said, on top of that, you're gonna give them all that money, but they're not gonna receive the proper care as a
Mhm.
mother or the proper education.
Mhm.
They're not actually gonna get to sit down with your kid and tell them the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s,
Yeah.
as a mom can.
Yeah, it really just depends on where they go to,
The
right? Like,
situation. and
yeah,
stuff.
like some daycares are. I know they're like, dang, this is this a daycare or is this a hotel? Like,
Right.
it's so luxurious.
Yeah, but those are the 5K a month.
Yeah. And so I think again, circumstances, right?
Yeah.
Like what works for me is not going to work for someone
Right.
else,
Yeah.
and what works for you may not work for me, and that's in anything in life. So I think a lot of people, I think a lot of the issues arise in the world and in relationships, even because people only view it from their perspective, right? And I try to, even for my agents, that have been on my team, I think that's why I've had to have such great retention. I've only lost one agent ever off from my team, and it wasn't anything personal. It was just she was a mother, and she had a 9 to 5 too, so she couldn't really do both. And my team just has a very much younger dynamic, and she kind of just wasn't. It wasn't that it wasn't a right fit. It was just that like I understood that she wanted to hold her license somewhere else, but after they moved, it's just like what I could see myself like why like not all agents are the same, you know what I mean? But I've been able to kind of have like a 95% retention over 2 years because I can put myself in my agent's shoes.
You know what's best for them.
Yeah. And like it's a healthy environment. It's not a toxic environment. We enjoy each other's company. We can talk to one another outside of business too. It's not only business related, and it's like, hey, we never talk. The team gets along really well, and that's one of the scary things about transitioning from a team to a brokerage is that people are gonna feel like like my team may feel like, oh well, we're growing really quickly, we're losing our culture, but essentially we're just adding people on. The team is the team, and we're going to continue our culture, and we're going to continue our legacy. And if there are more people added on, it's going to be very limited. The brokerage is just like an extension, and it's a kind of like a help to us. Like when we're too busy, they like it's teamwork, right? Like so I mean there's eventually once we get to a larger scale, there's going to be a huge differentiation of this is the team and this is the brokerage, you know, and are you with the team or are you with the brokerage?
Yeah, treat them separately, 100%.
It is. It's two
Yeah.
separate. It's two separate businesses, and then there's me as the real estate agent. So there's really three separate businesses. There's me as an agent. There's me as a team leader, and then there's me as a brokerage leader.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the brokerage grow.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know it's going to be very successful. You have a really tight team and
Thank
very
you. Thank you.
successful team. So
Yeah, we need to
that's
do
gonna
this
be
again.
awesome.
We need to do
Yeah.
this again in a year and talk about where we're at.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
see. Hopefully, we're doing well and growing, and
Absolutely.
we got 20 agents that are killing it, and that's the goal. And some of the agents have started their teams. Like that's my vision, and that's why I created this. Is because as a team leader, they weren't going to be able to build teams underneath me, and so
Or
that's
they, yeah, exactly. Or they were, but they would have left maybe.
yeah,
you know?
100%, 100%. And so now it's like it's beautiful because we've built a great team, and like they can start their own teams, and then we can work with other great agents. Like I know some solo agents that have been wanting to work with me forever. It just didn't make sense for them to come onto my team. And so now it's like they can collaborate with me, they're associated with me, and there's a spot for I know two individuals that they're a two-person team, and that's all they want to be is a two-person team. Everything of theirs is 50-50, where they just share everything, right? Whether it's his lead or their lead, they just treat it as like a true partnership, right? And it's pretty cool how they do their business. And they've talked to me and they're like, yeah, we want to come over where you are now, because it wouldn't make sense for them to come underneath me as a team leader, but it makes so much sense for them to join my brokerage.
Nice. And for the people who want to reach out to you, you want to plug in your information?
Yeah. So my brokerage account is signature real estate group.tx. My team account is Sing Real Estate Group. And then my personal is my first name, Navjot Singh, SINGH .re. And I'm sure you guys can put my number in there. And they can reach out to me by Instagram DM, phone call, text message, whatever. I've had so many conversations with agents that have came into the industry, and they're welcome to just have a conversation with me. They don't even have to be considering joining my brokerage. If people just have questions and they want to talk about real estate and the path to take and where to go and which brokerage to join and then where to go, like, and how to start a team, if you're trying to start a team and you want to talk about what all you need to be doing to start a team, feel free to reach out. So don't only reach out if you're just trying to join the brokerage. Obviously I want you to reach out for that too, but I mean, I'm just trying to
You're open.
yeah, I'm open. Like, you want to talk about real estate, you want to talk about how to purchase foreclosures from the Tarrant County courthouse steps, if you want to if you want to talk about just being a buyer's agent, if you want to be a team leader, or if you just want to talk about how to grow your personal brand as a real estate agent, or if you have ideas for me, because I'm not saying that I have it figured out, but I think going back and forth, we can always pick up one or two things from one another.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I when I was I interviewed a new agent. I interviewed a brand new agent, and while I was talking to her, I was getting ideas. I was like, "Dang, this is some things that I need to implement." Just because of the questions she asked me, and she didn't even know how beneficial our conversation was. But I was just like, I told her after, I was like, "Hey, I know you don't even know with the type of questions and the caliber of questions you just asked, but you just got my wheels turning." And I was like, I thank you, I appreciate that. She's like, really? I did?
I saw that they did
the
they
perks
did
of
that
having good conversations.
to Elon Musk. Some guy, a reporter,
Uh-huh.
was like, "Hey, why don't you do this on the
on the
on the
SpaceX,
SpaceX
yeah,
on the Falcon?"
Mhm.
And he just started thinking right there. He's like, "Wow, you're right. I am gonna do that."
Well,
Yeah.
figure that
And he
out.
solved him a problem just by asking.
Yeah,
the perks of having great conversations.
No, and that's why I said, like, hey, don't just ask me, if you don't just try to have a conversation with me if you just want to join my team, right? Like, or if you just want to join my brokerage, let's have a conversation about real estate, how you've done. Ask me about how I've done, kind of like we've been doing, right? Like, even there was this like aha moment. I don't even remember what it was. I'll remember after I watched the whole podcast. But I had like 2 aha moments here, so it's just appreciated.
Heck, that's good,
This is a
man.
great
So
podcast.
thanks so much, Nat, for coming in and sharing all these.
No,
Your new
Absolutely.
brokerage. I hope people reach out to you that
Yeah.
watch this video.
No, awesome, man. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely.
It's always a pleasure. I love what you guys are doing. It's next level things, and just keep doing what you guys are doing, and you guys are gonna do great.
Keeping consistency.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
definitely gonna have a part 2, man.
Yeah. Part
For
two,
sure.
part
Let's do
2.
it.
1 year from now, we're gonna come back
The day
next
after Thanksgiving.
the day after Thanksgiving. We need to have this again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but thank you for putting us on your schedule too.
Of course,
we appreciate it.
I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. For you guys at home, please like and subscribe. Make sure to follow Nav on social media as well as us. And until next time.
Thank.